Hi folks, this is Spen Ukuleles and Guitars, and this is the first lesson in a series of lessons that we're going to do for beginner ukuleles. Now specifically in this lesson we're going to cover the chord charts for the ukulele and how those chord charts can be applied to the ukulele, where to put your fingers, which strings to press, etc. And at the end of this video there's a play along for you to use as well as a way of practicing the two chords that we're going to do, which is A minor and F. Okay, so the first chord we're going to have a look at is the A minor chord. Now a key part to being able to play the ukulele and understand how ukulele chords work is understanding the chord diagrams. So the chord diagrams tells you exactly where to put your fingers, okay? So what you've got is, you've got lines going down and you've got lines going across. So the vertical lines that are going down, they are the strings. Okay, now if you compare that to the ukulele, you can see that the first line on the far right, that corresponds to the first string, which will be the one that's furthest away from you, that's furthest away from your nose, if you like. And the second line is the second string, the third line is the third string, and the fourth line where the orange dot is, that's the fourth string. Then what we've got is we've got the frets. Now the frets are the metal bars where you press your finger. Now you don't actually press down on the fret, you press down to the right hand side of the fret, which I'll show you in a minute. Not to be confused with the nut. The nut is the white bit at the top where the strings go into your machine heads. That is not a fret. The first fret is the first metal bar. This is your first fret. This is your second fret, and this is your third fret. We only need to worry about those three frets to start off with. Now in order to play an A minor chord, which is the first chord that we are going to play, A minor, that's why it's got the M on the end, AM, A minor. In order to play that chord, what we need to do is to follow the chord diagram. So the chord diagram, if you look at it, it's got an orange dot on the fourth string, second fret. Okay, so you find your fourth string on the ukulele and the second fret, and that's where you put your finger. Now, this is where it becomes really important that you get this bit right from the start, because what we do by nature is we would use our index finger to press that, because you normally follow with your index finger when you point at something or something like that. But what we need to use on the ukulele is we need to be able to use all our four fingers. Obviously your thumb is at the back, but your four fingers, we need to be able to use them. And if it's on the second fret, we need to use our second finger. Now it's important that you don't cheat at this point and start to get into bad habits of not using the correct fingers, okay? Because your technique will improve a lot more if you stick to the rules, okay? So on a general basis for these first few chords, if it's the first fret, use your first finger, which is your index finger. If it's your second fret that we're playing, then it's your second finger or your middle finger. If it's the third fret that we are playing, then you will use your third finger or your annular finger. There are other chords later on where you'll use your fourth finger, which is your pinky, but we're not going to be using them. We're not using your pinky today. Now you'll notice that there's a 2 written underneath the chord diagram, underneath the fourth string. That means that you use your second finger. That's what the 2 is there for. So the number corresponds to your fingers. You may have other things written there. Sometimes it says a 0, which means that that string is open or no fingers on there. Or sometimes it might have an X, which means that you do not play that string. But for this one, for the A minor chord, it's just your second finger on the second fret of the fourth string. Okay, now we come to the second and the last chord in this first lesson, and that is the F chord. And we choose the F chord because it is so similar to the A minor chord. You just need to put one more finger on. So your A minor has the second finger on the second fret of the fourth string. That stays there, but then you put the additional finger of your first finger that goes onto the first fret of the second string, and that creates your F chord. Now the best thing to do now is to have a go at playing the A minor to F, A minor to F, making sure you're just using your second and then your first finger until you feel really comfortable with that, and then we can use the play along video that's coming next to reinforce the learning and for you to be able to play those chords really fluently. I hope you found that useful. That's A minor and F. I hope you had a little bit of practice. We've got the play along coming now to round off this first lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful, and hopefully we're back for lesson 2.